Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to some more KSP. And I'm just going to be recording this one before work, so I actually want to get the rendering done and get it uploading before I have to leave. Quality's not going to be super great, but it should still be pretty good. Let me know if it's not amazing. I'll try to get it fixed. For next time, I'll just spend a bit more time. Anyway, here we just got the Hab module. We're just floating around the planet because I missed my intersect, and apparently I don't believe what I see, so I'm just going to switch over to the space station, check that on docking thing, still doesn't work, and going to set up the intersect again with the right thing. This is actually something that is very helpful if you have trouble selecting the thing you're trying to actually click on because there's debris or whatever on the way. Sometimes the interface is a little funky. Just try to get down to the actual orbit of it, and you'll be able to click it. But anyway, we missed that intersect, so we're just going to wait for that thing to loop around the planet a bunch of times, because I don't feel like fixing it. So anyway, here we're just building the engine section. This episode is going to be heavily edited. I did a ton of things in this video, just because I wanted to get the space station done. So you'll see that at the end of this video, among other interesting things, which I hope you enjoy later on. But anyway, we're just working on the engine section right now. It's nothing very complicated. I just made 4 engines. I honestly don't know if it's going to work. I did a little bit of testing with something similar to this, with another piece that I'm trying to send out to the moon, which you'll see later on. But yeah, I honestly don't know if I'll have enough fuel. I had a little bit of fuel issues with my test drive with the other vehicle I was using, so yeah, I don't know. But we'll see that in the next episode anyway, see if everything works. So all I'm doing is just adding some fuel tanks on the bottom there, just to have a little bit, and then 4 nuclear engines, some RCS on the sides there, makes it super maneuverable. And as always, cannot forget the duct tape, need tons of that. I don't know if this one here is really necessary, but hey, whatever. A little bit extra won't hurt. That's one of the best advices I can give when you're building something in Kerbal. Just keep on putting those struts on until you feel everything is nice and stable. So anyway, yep, there's the engine section. And I believe we're going to be launching it in the next little clip here. Yep, there it is. Got to make sure our staging is right now that we have those 4 extra engines. Forgot to set it up properly before, but now, yeah, I don't want them firing at the same time as the second stage because that would be a waste. And we're just zooming around here, waiting for the station to get a little closer. This is actually a really good way of waiting for things to orbit. If you're waiting for an intersect like I was on the Hab module there, I actually did this a bit off camera, just had a vehicle at the launch pad and just time warped, since you can time warp to whatever you want on the planet when you're not moving. But anyway, yeah, just standard launch so far, nothing going wrong, at least as far as I know. So yeah, just working on our intersect there, or our orbit. And like I said before, I'm going to be doing a lot of editing when it comes to these things. This will probably be one of the last launches you're going to see in this entirety. I mean, it's really not much. You don't see the full thing, but you do see a little bit. So anyway, we got our intersect there. It's fairly close, which is looking promising. Next thing that we got to do here is just circularize our orbit. Make sure we don't get it too far away from that point. And there we go. Orbit has been circularized more or less. This is enough time for us to dump our bottom stage. Still got some fuel in that bottom tank, but whatever. We don't need all of it. And I actually have to do some funky maneuvers here because I ended up being ahead of it. And I really didn't want to wait around like I did before, or I had to wait with the Hab module, so I'm actually going to burn towards it. The mistake I made with the Hab module was I actually had a perfect intersect. It wasn't great. It was something like 40 kilometers away, but I thought I would be able to get a closer one on the next orbit, and no. I ended up going past it and shooting past on the other side at like 90 kilometers away. So, yep, look, that docking still doesn't work. Still don't know what the hell is up with that. eventually got it working. You'll see that later on, but for now it's still just kind of attached there, looking like the lost child that we don't really want. And anyway, we get to see Tugger Mark III make one of his appearances here in this episode, doing some fancy maneuvers through the station there. I was pretty scared I was going to hit those solar panels, but nope, we were good. And I left this whole sequence in. I probably could have cut out a couple of things, but it worked out pretty nicely in the end. This is really how a tugboat should be doing its job. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to, for the most part. So we just have our pink reticule there, lined up with the actual prograde vector where we are heading, the direction we're going. And we got to get ourselves lined up with that as well. So get that little V thing lined up in the center. We don't do a great job of it, but that's okay. The best way of doing it is to just align things along a common point. So you have something aligned along, say, 180 degrees on your nav ball. You have the other ship that you're trying to dock with it aligned along the north. And then you just shimmy on in there. Just do your translating, all you need to do. But if you go slowly enough, you can come in at a kind of a weirder angle and just slowly adjust yourself in there. And I actually ended up, for some reason, docking to the top of this thing. I realized afterwards there was no point. I mean, I didn't need to transfer that extra fuel. That was the only real reason for doing it, but whatever. It's fine, because now this allows us to do some other funky maneuvers where we got to flip around the engine section. So anyway, we have this bottom part here that's just going to slowly move away and then move off to the side. It's going to deorbit eventually. I think this is one of the things I deorbit. Could not be. I mean, I've got a bunch of these floating around in orbit as it is, which we'll get rid of in a little bit actually. Make our orbit nice and clear. So yeah, now that we're safely away, we can just kind of forget about this thing. Make sure I don't forget the solar panels, because I don't want a dead vehicle. Because then I have to cheat and just end flight. Whereas it's more fun to just crash things into the atmosphere and hopefully crash it into the Space Center, which almost happens at one point. But yeah, now we just got to do a little flip around maneuver here with Tugger. And keep in mind, all this video, or most of it anyway, is at 200 times speed. The build section was actually at 400 times. I honestly prefer this a lot more for Kerbal videos, just because it's all this thing in real time takes a long time, and I would have to do some serious editing, much more than I already have for this episode. So if I can keep it in double time or a little faster than normal time, I can just do the post commentary afterwards, and I find that it works a lot better. I mean, there are some things that I'll be doing in live commentary, like the engine test next episode, and any sort of landing on any planetary bodies will all be done in real time. But probably things like docking and orbiting and all of that, I'll end up doing in speedy time. So anyway, we're just flipping around here to the bottom. This is a little dangerous maneuver because I have to go in between all of those engines, and it could be trouble. And we'll see what happens later on if you do end up running into the engines. Nothing bad, but nothing too great either. At least all of my missions, or most of them anyway, are unmanned, so if anything does happen, it's okay. It's only an expensive piece of equipment that we don't really have to worry about just yet. And actually coming in super close to one of those engines there, but we managed to somehow avoid it. And there's our dock. So yeah, we have Tugger ready to put the engine section onto the space station. And we're going to be seeing that here. Just a little cut there since I had to take a break for a little while. That was at the end of 2 hours or so of recording. So I figured I'd go out for a cigarette and all that. Don't smoke, kids. Smoking's bad for you. But anyway, if you want to smoke, then smoke, whatever. I ain't going to stop you. So anyway, we just got to come in with the engine here and float along to the side of the station we weren't facing, because you want to attach it to the bottom there where there is nothing. And I will be making copious use of the time warp feature as well. Not only does it help with, it kills all your rotation, but it just, well, makes things a little faster. I mean, it is time warp after all. That's what it's there for. So yeah, I'm just using the RCS there, getting in nice and close. Trying to use the SAS as well to help out, but there's too many thrusters on this thing, and I think the thrusters on Tugger are actually throwing things off a little bit. So I end up doing things manually. It's not too bad because this thing is very well balanced. I was actually really happy with the design of this thing. Basically, it means that I have a modular engine component that I can add to any ship anywhere, as long as I have the fuel to get this part out. And since it is fairly light, all I need is just some sort of a probe in the center there, and it should be fine. But anyway, we have we have contact. It's very poor contact, and I'm kind of afraid something's going to explode here. But no, it works out in the end, thankfully. That's an example of a very poor docking, where you come in from the side and you just bank on the magnetic pull to do all the job for you. But no. We got it. It's all good. And there we go. Space station is just about done. Only one part left. Try that undocking one more time. Click it like 5 times. Nope, still nothing. So anyway, this is the engine stage that brought up the rockets, or the engine that brought up the engines. The second stage that brought up the engine section. And I'm just going to be doing a deorbit burn here. I actually spend a little bit of time here. You'll see it in the next few clips. I'm trying to figure out how the deorbiting thing is going to work so I can get more of a precise landing. You can see I'm actually trying to land super close to the space center there. If you place the bottom part of your trajectory somewhere, maybe I would say 5 to 10 kilometers east of the place you're trying to land, you should be able to get them fairly close. But then again, that also depends on when you start retro burning, because the planet also does spin, so you got to keep that in mind. And anyway, we got another power landing attempt here. What is this, number 3, number 4? And we are having pretty much the same trouble as before. This thing is a little bit too top heavy, but thankfully RCS manages to get us back on track. And this is looking surprisingly good. I mean, we're not burning directly along the retrograde, but that's, of course, we're going to be burning down towards a hill. And you should really start burning more right about now. Yeah, too late. Yeah. So, the probe survived the impact, but I started burning a bit too late. Honestly, 5-10 seconds earlier, if I'd started burning, I would have been fine. But, oh well, now I know for next time. So anyway, getting rid of that one piece just made me wonder, I could try to get down the other pieces as well. I have so much debris in space, all of which does go down through the atmosphere, but because there is no atmospheric drag, if you're not focused on that vehicle, it'll just keep looping around, so you basically have to focus on it, wait until it gets into the atmosphere, or lower its periapsis enough that it'll just crash on its own. And yeah, these are the highlights of that. There were a few pieces I had to get. This one had a nice view until the camera goes all wonky on me. Yeah, there were just a bunch of pieces I had to dump into the atmosphere, and, well, hope you enjoy the explosions. There we go. There's the last one. And back to the space station we go. Because I actually had an idea here. I wanted to... Well, you can see off in the distance there in the top right of the station. You can see another tanker floating in the background. Because I figured, well, this one wasn't going to work. That tugger was just going to stay there. So I'll just dump this giant full fuel tank and attach another one. And then I figure, you know what, there's one thing I haven't tried. What about decoupling Tugger while he's not attached to the station? I mean, it shouldn't make a difference, right? It's nothing that's completely different from before. It's just attached to the same piece. Oh, what? Oh, what's that? It just worked? Yeah, so, yeah. I have no idea why that refused to work before. You can see me just kind of look around, like, being all confused by what is happening here. But it did work, so just reattach to that. And then we're just going to reattach back to the space station, and we'll have our tank back. I don't know. It's just a minor bug with the game. It's still in development, as you all know. So, yep, it's fine now. And oh, look at this, we get to see some more docking. Are you guys tired of docking yet? Because I'm pretty tired of docking. I'm really happy this station's done, so I don't really have to do as much docking in the near future. Got many other things planned, and oh, apparently we missed there, but nope, thankfully the magnetic pole kind of drags us into where we're supposed to go. It's not going to be aligned perfectly, but I don't really care about that at this point. You can see the engines aren't aligned perfectly either. I might fix that later on, I might not, it doesn't really matter. Well, yeah, now for some reason you can detach that from the big tanker, so yeah, I'm completely at a loss for words there. But, oh well, we're fine now. And you can see me there just taking a look at the moon, because I figure, I got a full fuel tank, might as well send this somewhere, and the only other place where they might need a full fuel tank is the moon base. The station there has, well, we haven't really checked in on those guys in a while. I hope they're doing okay. They're probably just freaking out like they normally do. So I assume they'll be fine. And we're also going to send along Tugger Mark II here. I felt kind of bad. Figured, he stayed attached to the station because he had some issues. He didn't want to leave us. So we're going to leave him in service as he takes a look at the station there. And Tugger Mark III here is actually going to move back from one of his recent jobs. You can see the HAB module there got attached. Didn't bother showing that on camera because there was nothing special about it. It worked out nicely. But yeah, Tugger's just going to have to come back, and I figured the best location to keep Tugger would be in between the engine section there, because he can provide an extra boost if I need it. But yeah, I'm just coming in, and we're going a bit too fast. Yeah, so apparently if you hit an engine at just the right angle, it makes you do that. I don't really know what happened there, but managed to get her under control with some RCS, and we're good. We got it back. But yeah, this is the finished station, Starbase Alpha or Alba or whatever I'm gonna call it. I haven't quite decided on the actual name yet, but yeah, I'm just taking a little look around here. We got the engine section there. We have the HAB on top. Everything should be fairly well balanced. I don't think I'm gonna have too many issues with this. When I was moving it around, I was adjusting its inclination a bit so it could get some more solar power on those panels. It wasn't shaking around too much either, so yeah, everything should be good. Get a nice cinematic view here before we finish off the episode. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. See you in the next episode.